This is insane. Patrick Bet-David of the PBD podcast, him and the crew talking about Caitlin Clark and talking about this Emmanuel Acho clip that's been floating around. Let's get right into it, shall we? Like the video, hype the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me. PBD, what you got for us?
This brother says what he says about Caitlin Clark, saying the WNBA has just got to get rid of Caitlin Clark. Have you guys seen this clip?
The shot heard around the sports world wasn't a jumper. It was a former NFL player's verbal cheap shot aimed directly at the throat of the WNBA's most significant phenomenon. Patrick Bet-David and the PBD podcast have officially drawn a line in the sand, not just defending Caitlin Clark, but systematically dismantling the very notion that she is disposable. This isn't merely about a single controversial hot take. It's a cultural reckoning that has exposed a deep, festering wound within the professional sports landscape regarding superstardom, jealousy, and the economics of the women's game. The accusation, leveled by Emmanuel Acho, is as stunning as it is audacious, that the WNBA would be better off without Caitlin Clark. This isn't a critique of her game. It's a proposition that her existence is a hindrance, a distraction to be removed. As PBD and his crew dissect this argument, they aren't just reacting to a clip. They are peeling back the layers of a league grappling with its own identity in the wake of a once-in-a-generation talent. The narrative surrounding Caitlin Clark is no longer just about basketball. It's about who gets to define the league's future and whether the unprecedented wave of attention she brought is a tide to be ridden or a tsunami to be resisted. The stage is set for a brutal analysis of an argument that, as Tom from the PBD podcast correctly identifies, is rooted in nothing but envy and a shocking lack of foresight. The central conflict is simple yet profound. Can the WNBA survive its own star? And does it even want to?
W at this juncture in time would be better without Caitlin Clark because she is a bigger distraction than she is an additive.
This was one of the most ridiculous takes that I have ever heard within the sports commentating world. Ever since shows like First Take and PTI and Cold Pizza, ever since shows like that started coming out, this is one of the worst takes. This is worse than anything Skip Bayless has ever said. This is worse than Max Kellerman talking about the cliff. This is a terrible, terrible take.
When Acho argued that Caitlin Clark is more of a distraction than an additive, he didn't just create a viral moment. He triggered a psychological war within the media. Patrick Bet-David accurately compares this take to the worst historical blunders in sports commentary, suggesting it surpasses the absurdity of Skip Bayless's hot takes or Max Kellerman's infamous cliff theory. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the human element of sports. Fans don't simply watch a product. They invest in narrative and personality. Clark represents a relatable, Midwest-born prodigy whose style of play is built on deep threes and pinpoint assists, a style that is inherently captivating. To suggest the audience would simply carry over once she's gone is a logistical fallacy. The PBD crew breaks this down using a brilliant analogy. Would boxing have been better off without Mike Tyson? As they argue, the star leaves, people stop watching. Phenomenon is the most predictable law of sports economics. This long-term strategic consequence is devastating to Acho's premise. Clark didn't just raise the tide. She is the damn ocean. She is the reason the WNBA secured a $2.2 billion media rights deal. Without her, the league likely returns to the shadows of the sports calendar. The immediate fallout isn't just about the disrespect to Clark. It's about the systemic ignorance of how television rights and viewership work. ESPN and the networks didn't ask for a generic A.J. Wilson game or a Paige Buecher's game in their packages. They specifically requested 44 games featuring Caitlin Clark. The economic reality is that Caitlin Clark is the leverage, and the accusation that she is a distraction is a code word for something far more sinister, a threat to the established order, leading to the uncomfortable reality that she is viewed as a tool to be used and then discarded.
The networks aren't going to be asking for an Asia Wilson game or a Paige game. They ask for 44 Caitlin Clark games and split it up between all of us.
The fact that she did it. And there's huge jealousy. Why weren't we paid? Why weren't we paid? You heard all kinds of them. And so what he's saying, Pat, he's saying, oh, we don't need her anymore. We got our TV deal. We got the salaries up. Now you can go away.
Yep. Used her and abused her. Used her and abused her. Now time to throw her in the trash.
Because they're jealous of her. She didn't come from the zone and the area.
The psychology driving these arguments against Caitlin Clark is as old as sports themselves. As the PBD panel digs deeper, they highlight the envy that permeates the league, noting that Clark's arrival has forced a confrontation with a previous era of irrelevance. The quote, "Used her and abused her. Now time to throw in the trash because they're jealous," cuts to the core of the issue. The WNBA players who suffered through years of low pay and little recognition suddenly find themselves watching a rookie become the face of the league and the architect of their financial futures. This creates a toxic duality. They need her to get paid, but they hate her for being the one who did it. It's a conflict that pits the pride of the veteran against the prosperity brought by the newcomer. This situation forces a comparison to previous league eras, specifically the transition from Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. When Jordan retired, the NBA suffered until Kobe came along. The NBA understood that you need a torchbearer, and the league marketed its stars accordingly. However, the WNBA's reaction has been opposite. Instead of embracing the star, they've seemed to alienate her. Tom highlights the cultural disconnect. Clark isn't just from the Midwest. She represents a different demographic and a different style of play than the league's traditional base. This deep analytical breakdown reveals a league at war with itself. Are they fighting for equality? Or are they fighting to maintain a specific cultural identity that Caitlin Clark inadvertently threatened by simply existing and performing at an elite level? The physicality directed at her on the court, paired with comments off it, suggests a league trying to break the star to prove they don't need her, rather than recognizing that her safety and success are integral to their own survival.
Average viewership, Vinny, national TV audience per game, 462,000. After Clark, 1 year later, 2024, not today, today's even higher. 1 year later, 1.32 million, up 186%.
Come on.
Regular season attendance average per game, 6,615 fans. 1 year later, the entire WNBA goes up 48% to 9,807. Total attendance, 1.59. Total attendance, 2.35, 48% up. Sellouts went from...
The numbers are the ultimate referee in this narrative, and they rule in favor of Caitlin Clark in a knockout. The data presented by PBD is irrefutable. Before Clark entered the league, the average national TV audience was a meager 462,000. 1 year later, that number exploded to 1.32 million, a 186% increase. But it's not just about television. The league-wide financial impact is staggering. Average attendance jumped 48%. Sellouts increased by 242%. Merchandise sales skyrocketed by 600%. And League Pass subscriptions surged 366%. This isn't a slight bump. This is a complete league transplant. As Patrick Bet-David notes, the biggest highlight of the WNBA this year is a woman pointing at another woman, pointing to Sophie Cunningham's viral moment, which only happened because Caitlin Clark was on the court. The high-stakes climax of this story revolves around the franchise-altering impact of these numbers. Emmanuel Acho's argument that the WNBA is good now because of a TV deal and can move on without Clark is akin to killing the goose that laid the golden egg. The league's financial viability is contingent on the attention Clark draws. The WNBA's recent 30-year anniversary poster omitting Caitlin Clark is perhaps the most damning evidence of the league's internal conflict. This isn't just a slight, it's an act of organizational self-sabotage. The league is actively trying to rewrite history to minimize a player whose historical impact dwarfs everyone else's. The future prediction here is simple. If the WNBA continues to alienate Clark, the self-evident phase will hit hard when she leaves or retires, and the $2.2 billion deal will look like a brief anomaly in an otherwise bleak financial ledger. Without her, the league risks returning to the zombie company status, highlighting just how precarious their new empire truly is.